Dylan Rogers steps out of the Curiosity's airlock, his heart racing as he becomes the first human to set foot on Zorax. The alien world's atmosphere hits him like a wall of humid, spice-scented air. He takes a deep breath, savoring the moment of discovery. That's when he sees her. Uma, a female Gorn, emerges from the dense foliage. Her scaled skin shimmers in the planet's dim light, eyes locked onto Dylan with predatory intensity. She moves with fluid grace, closing the distance between them in swift strides. Dylan's scientific mind catalogs her features. Bipedal, reptilian, approximately 7 feet tall, but his observations are cut short as Uma's scent reaches him. A wave of dizziness washes over him, his body responding in ways he can't control. Hello, Dylan manages, fighting to maintain composure. I'm Dylan Rogers, from Earth. We come in peace. Uma doesn't respond. Instead, she lunges forward, powerful arms reaching for him. Dylan stumbles backward, narrowly avoiding her grasp. His training kicks in, and he retreats toward the ship. Captain Chen, he shouts into his comm unit. We have a situation. Inside the Curiosity, the crew watches the scene unfold on their monitors. Captain Sarah Chen's voice crackles over the intercom. Hold positions. Non-interference protocols are in effect. Dylan ducks under another swipe from Uma, his heart pounding. He makes a break for the ship, Uma hot on his heels. As he reaches the airlock, he glances back. More Gorn females are emerging from the forest, drawn by some unseen force. Safely inside, Dylan catches his breath. Dr. Stern, what just happened out there? Dr. Elijah Stern, the ship's xenobiologist, studies the readings on his tablet. It appears we've arrived during the Gorn mating season. These females become extremely aggressive during this time, fixating on a chosen mate. And it seems you've been selected, Dylan. The ship's sensors begin to blare. Unknown compound detected in the atmosphere, the AI announces. Levels rising rapidly. Captain Chen's face hardens. Initiate emergency launch procedures. We're leaving. As the engines roar to life, a series of thuds echo through the hull. Outside, Uma and several other Gorn females are attempting to breach the ship's exterior. Dylan watches the monitors, a plan forming in his mind. Captain, let me go out there. I can lure them away, give you time to escape. Absolutely not, Chen replies. It's too dangerous. It may be our only option, Dr. Stern interjects, and think of the data we could gather from this encounter. After a moment of tense silence, Chen nods. All right, Dylan, but you'll wear a protective suit and maintain constant communication. Minutes later, Dylan stands at the airlock once more, encased in a reinforced exosuit. He takes a deep breath, steeling himself for what's to come. Ready when you are, Captain, he says, voice steady despite the fear coursing through him. As the airlock hisses open, Dylan steps out to face the horde of mating-crazed Gorn females. Uma's eyes lock onto him immediately, her powerful form coiled and ready to spring. Dylan swallows hard, knowing that the fate of his crew, and potentially groundbreaking scientific discovery, rests on his shoulders. With a deep breath, he takes his first step towards the waiting Gorn, prepared to risk everything in the name of science and survival. Dylan's heart raced as he stepped out of the airlock for the second time, now encased in the reinforced exosuit. The moment his feet touched Zorax's soil, Uma's eyes locked onto him with renewed intensity. The other Gorn females, alerted by his presence, converged on his position with startling speed. Force field activated, Dylan announced, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. A thin, shimmering barrier enveloped him, creating a precious buffer between his suit and the advancing Gorn. Good luck, Dylan, Captain Chen's voice crackled through his comm. We're initiating launch sequence now. Without hesitation, Dylan sprinted away from the Curiosity, drawing the pack of Gorn females with him. The sound of the ship's engines roaring to life spurred him on, each step taking him further from safety and deeper into the alien world. For the first time, Dylan truly observed the landscape of Zorax. The ground beneath his feet was covered in a carpet of violet vegetation, soft yet resilient. Towering crystalline formations jutted from the earth, refracting the dim light of the alien sun into prismatic patterns across the terrain. Ahead, a forest of bioluminescent trees beckoned. Their trunks pulsed with an eerie internal light, casting long shadows across the alien landscape. Dylan made for the tree line, hoping the dense foliage would provide cover from his pursuers. Behind him, the Gorn pack gave chase, their powerful legs eating up the distance between them. Uma, however, broke from the group. With a grace that belied her size, she bounded from crystal to crystal, using the formations as springboards to leap ahead of Dylan's path. Dylan's eyes widened as he realized Uma's strategy. She was cutting off his escape route, herding him towards a massive crystalline structure. With the pack at his heels and Uma blocking his path, Dylan made a split-second decision. He dove for a narrow crevice between two towering crystals, squeezing his armored body through the tight space. The crystals scraped against his suit, sending vibrations through his body. Suddenly, a spark erupted from his chest plate, and the comforting hum of his force field vanished. "No, no, no," Dylan muttered, emerging on the other side of the crevice. His force field was gone, leaving him fully exposed to the alien environment. Before he could process this new danger, a shadow fell over him. Uma had anticipated his move. She stood before him, her scaled body tensed and ready. In one fluid motion, she pounced, her powerful form easily overwhelming Dylan's human strength. They tumbled to the ground in a tangle of limbs, human and alien. During the struggle, Dylan felt a sudden rush of cool air on his face. His helmet had come loose, exposing him to Zorax's atmosphere. He gasped involuntarily, bracing for the burn of toxic air in his lungs. To his shock, he found he could breathe, though each inhalation felt heavy and strange. As the alien air filled his lungs, Dylan's senses began to swim. The effect of the Gorn pheromones, no longer filtered by his suit, hit him full force. A cocktail of sensations flooded his system: fear, excitement, and an unexpected surge of attraction towards Uma. Uma, still pinning Dylan to the ground, suddenly stilled. Her reptilian eyes studied him intently, nostrils flaring as she processed the change in his scent. The aggression in her posture softened, replaced by something akin to curiosity. She released her hold on Dylan and took a step back, allowing him to sit up. Then, to his amazement, she began to communicate. A series of chirps, clicks, and gestures flowed from her, each movement deliberate and meaningful. Dylan's scientific mind kicked into overdrive, analyzing every sound and motion. He began to discern patterns, the beginnings of a rudimentary understanding forming in his mind. Uma wasn't just trying to mate with him, she was attempting to choose him as a partner, a process that seemed to hold deep cultural significance for the Gorn. Hesitantly, Dylan attempted to mimic some of Uma's gestures. Her eyes widened in surprise, and she chittered excitedly, her scaled tail swishing back and forth. In the distance, Dylan heard the sound of the Curiosity's engines. The ship was landing again. Despite the danger, Captain Chen had decided not to abandon him. He knew a rescue team would be on its way soon, but now he faced a dilemma he never could have anticipated. Should he return to the ship and his human life? Or should he stay and explore this unexpected connection with Uma, potentially unlocking secrets of Gorn culture and biology that could revolutionize human understanding of alien life? As Dylan grappled with this decision, he saw movement at the edge of the bioluminescent forest. The rescue team was approaching, their weapons at the ready. They were unaware of the delicate cultural exchange unfolding before them. Dylan looked from the approaching humans to Uma, whose gaze remained fixed on him, filled with an alien emotion he was only beginning to comprehend. He knew his next action would shape not only his future, but potentially the future of human-Gorn relations and the fate of Zorax itself. With his heart pounding and mind racing, Dylan prepared to make a choice that would change everything. Dylan's eyes darted between Uma and the approaching rescue team. His mind raced, weighing the potential consequences of his next move. The connection he felt with Uma, combined with the tantalizing prospect of groundbreaking scientific discovery, overwhelmed his initial fear and caution. With a deep breath, Dylan raised his hand, signaling the rescue team to halt. They stopped in their tracks, weapons still at the ready, confusion evident in their postures. Dylan turned to Uma, who watched him with keen interest, her scaled head tilted slightly. Recalling the gestures and sounds Uma had used earlier, Dylan attempted to communicate his desire to stay and learn. He mimicked her chirps as best he could and pointed to himself, then to her, and finally to the surrounding forest. Uma's eyes widened, and she let out a series of excited clicks. Dylan tapped his comm unit. "Captain Chen, this is Rogers. I'm okay. The Gorn... Uma... She's not trying to harm me. I think I can learn more about their culture if I stay with her. Request permission to continue this interaction." There was a moment of tense silence before Chen's voice crackled through. "Dylan, are you sure about this? The risks are enormous." "I understand, Captain, but the potential benefits to our mission and to science are even greater. Dr. Stern, are you getting this?" Dr. Stern's eager voice joined the conversation. "Affirmative, Dylan. The data we're receiving is unprecedented. If you feel safe enough to continue, I strongly recommend we pursue this opportunity." After a brief pause, Chen responded, "All right, Dylan, you have a go, but we'll be setting up a perimeter to monitor the situation. At the first sign of danger, we're pulling you out. Understood?" "Understood, Captain. Thank you." With the decision made, Dylan turned back to Uma. She seemed to sense the shift in his demeanor and gently took his hand in her scaled one. The texture was surprisingly smooth, with a warmth that belied her reptilian appearance. Uma tugged lightly, indicating for Dylan to follow her. As they moved deeper into the bioluminescent forest, Dylan's senses were overwhelmed. The air grew thicker with the scent of alien flora, a heady mix of spice and something akin to ozone. The bioluminescent trees pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm, casting shifting shadows that danced across Uma's iridescent scales. Dylan found himself captivated by Uma's physiology. Her skin shimmered with patterns that seemed to flow and change, reflecting her emotions in a visual language he was only beginning to decipher. He noticed her body temperature fluctuating rapidly, feeling the changes through his suit where their hands remained connected. Occasionally, Uma would release visible puffs of pheromones, shimmering in the air like ethereal smoke. Dylan's suit sensors detected complex chemical compounds, each unique and laden with information he couldn't yet interpret. They emerged into a clearing that took Dylan's breath away. Crystalline structures of varying sizes dotted the area, each one amplifying the bioluminescence of the surrounding vegetation. The effect was mesmerizing, bathing the clearing in a soft, ever-changing glow. Several other Gorn females were gathered in the clearing. They turned as one to observe Dylan and Uma's arrival, their reactions a mix of curiosity and territorial displays. Some hissed softly, while others puffed themselves up, their scales filled. Uma let out a series of sharp clicks and chirps, and the other Gorn settled, though they continued to watch Dylan with wary interest. Uma led Dylan to the center of the clearing, where a massive, pulsating crystal formation stood. It towered over them, its facets reflecting and refracting the bioluminescent light in hypnotic patterns. Uma placed her free hand on the crystal's surface, then looked at Dylan expectantly. Hesitantly, Dylan raised his hand to the crystal. The moment his palm made contact, a jolt of energy surged through him. His vision swam, filled with vivid images, sounds, and emotions that weren't his own. He gasped, overwhelmed by the sensory input, but found he couldn't pull his hand away. Through this crystalline interface, Dylan experienced flashes of Uma's life. He saw her hatching from an egg, growing up in this alien forest, learning to hunt and communicate. He felt the anticipation of her first mating season, the instinctual drive that had led her to him. But more than that, Dylan gained crucial insights into the Gorn mating process. He learned that the Gorn chose lifelong mates during this season, forming deep psychic bonds that lasted until death. The process involved a complex exchange of genetic material that went beyond simple reproduction, allowing the Gorn to evolve and adapt more rapidly than other species. As the flow of information subsided, Dylan became aware of changes in his own body. His skin tingled, developing a faint iridescence similar to the Gorn's. He found himself more attuned to the subtle pheromone communication used by Uma and the other females, picking up nuances he hadn't noticed before. Back on the Curiosity, Dr. Stern monitored Dylan's vital signs with a mixture of concern and fascination. "Captain," he called out, "you need to see this. Dylan's body chemistry is undergoing significant changes. It's as if he's adapting to the Zorax environment in real time. Captain Chen leaned over Stern's console, her brow furrowed. Is he in danger? I don't think so, Stern replied, his eyes gleaming with excitement. This could be a previously unknown human ability, potentially triggered by the unique conditions on Zorax. The implications are staggering. Chen straightened up, her face set in drive. Set up a base camp near the mating grounds. We need to study this phenomenon more closely and ensure we can extract Dylan if necessary. As night fell on Zorax, the bioluminescent forest increased in intensity, bathing the clearing in an otherworldly glow. The other Gorn females retreated into the surrounding vegetation, leaving Dylan and Uma alone in the sacred mating ground. Uma turned to Dylan, her eyes shimmering with an emotion he was only beginning to understand. She reached into a pouch on her side and produced a small, intricately carved crystal. Dylan, now able to partially interpret the pheromones Uma was releasing, understood the significance of this gesture. It was a betrothal gift, a formal initiation of the Gorn courtship ritual. Dylan's heart raced as he stared at the offered crystal. Its soft light pulsed in sync with his rapidly changing heartbeat, a physical manifestation of the choice before him. To accept would mean fully embracing this alien connection, potentially losing his humanity in the process. To refuse would mean retreating to the safety of the curiosity, losing this unprecedented opportunity for interspecies understanding. As Dylan stood on the precipice of this life-altering decision, the crystal's light seemed to intensify, mirroring the weight of the moment. The fate of human-alien relations hung in the balance, waiting for Dylan's next move. The crystal's soft glow pulsed in rhythm with Dylan's racing heart as he made his decision. With a deep breath, he reached out and gently placed his hand on Uma's, accepting the betrothal gift. The moment their hands touched, an intense surge of emotions and physical sensations overwhelmed Dylan. His skin tingled and shimmered, the faint iridescence from earlier now spreading rapidly across his entire body. His senses sharpened beyond anything he'd ever experienced, the colors of the bioluminescent forest becoming impossibly vivid, and new scents filling his nostrils. Uma chirped softly, her eyes widening as she observed the changes in Dylan. She placed the crystal in their joined hands, and a visible energy field enveloped them both, pulsating with bioluminescent light. Dylan gasped as he felt his body shifting, muscles becoming denser and more flexible. His mind expanded, suddenly able to process the complex pheromone language of the Gorn. Back at the hastily established base camp, Captain Chen watched the scene unfold through high-powered binoculars. "Dr. Stern," she called urgently, "what's happening to Dylan?" Dr. Stern's fingers flew across his console, analyzing the incoming data. "It's extraordinary, Captain. Dylan's body is adapting to the Zorax environment at an unprecedented rate. His DNA, it's being rewritten in real time." Chen's brow furrowed with concern. "Is he in danger?" "Not immediately," Stern replied, his voice a mix of excitement and apprehension. "But these changes, they're profound. We need to conduct a full medical evaluation as soon as possible." In the clearing, Uma gently tugged on Dylan's hand, leading him deeper into the forest. Dylan followed, marveling at how easily he moved through the dense undergrowth. His newly enhanced vision allowed him to see clearly in the dim light, revealing hidden patterns and structures in the vegetation. They arrived at a secluded glade, where crystal formations jutted from the ground in a rough circle. Uma stepped into the center, pulling Dylan with her. She began a series of intricate movements, releasing puffs of pheromones that Dylan could now interpret as complex emotional and instinctual signals. Understanding dawned on Dylan. This was the Gorn mating ritual. He found his body responding instinctively, mirroring Uma's movements and releasing his own pheromones. The betrothal crystal in their hands pulsed brighter, facilitating a deep mental connection between them. Suddenly, Dylan was awash in Uma's memories and emotions. He saw her hatching, her first hunt, the loneliness of waiting for a mate. He felt her curiosity about the strange beings from the stars, her initial fear giving way to fascination. In turn, he shared his own experiences, life on Earth, the excitement of space exploration, the wonder of discovering Zorax. As their minds intertwined, the forest around them seemed to respond. The bioluminescent plants glowed more intensely, and new crystal formations sprouted from the ground, growing rapidly to join the circle surrounding them. At the base camp, alarms blared. Dr. Stern called out, "Captain, we're detecting a massive spike in atmospheric energy levels. It seems to be centered on Dylan and Uma's location." Captain Chen opened her mouth to respond, but was interrupted by a commotion at the edge of the camp. A group of male Gorn had emerged from the forest, their scales shimmering in the enhanced bioluminescence. Despite their imposing presence, their body language was non-aggressive. The lead male, larger than the others with intricate patterns on his scales, stepped forward. He released a complex series of pheromones and made several deliberate gestures. Dr. Stern, who had been refining a translation algorithm, quickly interpreted. "Captain, I believe he's trying to establish peaceful contact. He's inviting us to witness something important." Chen hesitated, weighing the potential risks against the unprecedented opportunity for interspecies communication. "All right," she decided, "but we maintain full alert. Any sign of hostility, we fall back immediately." As the human crew cautiously followed the male Gorn into the forest, Dylan and Uma completed their mating ritual. Dylan felt a final surge of energy course through him, and suddenly the Gorn language clicked into place in his mind. He could understand and communicate fluently, not just through pheromones but in their verbal language as well. Uma spoke, her words now clear to Dylan. "My mate, our union is more significant than you know. Our people have faced a genetic bottleneck for generations. Your human DNA may be the key to our survival and evolution." Dylan's mind reeled at the implications. "Uma, I don't know what to say. This is incredible, but also terrifying. What does this mean for me? For us?" Before Uma could respond, they heard the approach of the human crew and the male Gorn. As they entered the glade, Captain Chen's eyes widened in shock at the sight of Dylan. Dylan's appearance had changed dramatically. His skin now permanently shimmered with iridescent patterns, his eyes had adapted to see in multiple light spectrums, and his physique had become more lithe and powerful. He still maintained his basic human form, but it was clear he was no longer entirely human. The lead male Gorn stepped forward, introducing himself as Zorax. He spoke in the Gorn language, which Dylan translated for the humans. "We welcome you, star travelers, to witness this historic union. The joining of our kind with yours opens new paths for both our peoples." Captain Chen, struggling to process the rapid turn of events, addressed Dylan directly. "Rogers, are you all right? Do you understand what's happened to you?" Dylan nodded, his new eyes reflecting the bioluminescent light in mesmerizing patterns. "I'm more than all right, Captain. I can see and understand things I never thought possible, but I also know this complicates our mission significantly." Chen turned to Dr. Stern. "Doctor, what are your thoughts? Can Dylan even return to Earth in this state?" Stern shook his head, his expression a mix of scientific fascination and deep concern. "I'm not sure, Captain. The changes to his physiology are profound. We'd need extensive tests to determine if Earth's environment would be safe for him now." As the implications of this sank in, Zorax spoke again, this time directly to Captain Chen. "We propose a solution," Dylan translated. "Allow a small group of our people, including Uma, to accompany you back to your world. This will enable continued study of this new human-Gorn hybridization and could lead to a formal alliance between our species." "Species?" Captain Chen nodded slowly, her mind racing with the potential implications of this unprecedented situation. "Very well," she said, addressing both her crew and the Gorn representatives. "We'll make the necessary preparations for our Gorn guests to accompany us back to Earth. Dr. Stern, I want you to work closely with Zorax and his team to ensure we can accommodate their biological needs during the journey." As the group began to disperse, Dylan felt a gentle tug on his arm. Uma's eyes met his, a silent communication passing between them. He nodded, understanding her unspoken request. "Captain," Dylan called out, his voice carrying a new resonant quality that reflected his changed physiology. "Uma and I would like to assist with the preparations. Our unique perspective might prove useful." Chen studied Dylan for a moment, then agreed. All right, Rogers, report to the ship in 1 hour. We'll need all hands on deck for this. As the Curiosity's crew and their new Gorn allies made final preparations for departure, the ship's long-range sensors began to emit a series of urgent beeps. Lieutenant Walker, the navigator, frowned as he studied the readouts. "Captain," he called out, his voice tight with concern, "we're detecting an approaching asteroid field. It's massive, and it wasn't on any of our previous scans." Chen moved swiftly to Walker's station, her eyes narrowing as she took in the data. "How is that possible? We should have seen this days ago." Dr. Stern joined them, his face pale. The field must have been masked by some kind of natural phenomenon, perhaps a gravitational anomaly or... His words trailed off as Dylan and Uma approached, their movements in perfect synchronization. Dylan's eyes, now an otherworldly swirl of colors, focused on the sensor display. "It's not just an asteroid field," he said, his voice carrying an eerie certainty. "There's something else out there, something hidden." Uma chirped in agreement, releasing a complex array of pheromones that Dylan instinctively translated for the others. "She says the asteroids are moving in patterns that aren't natural, as if they're being guided." Captain Chen's face hardened as she assessed the situation. "We can't delay our departure. Earth's message was clear about the urgency of our return. Walker, plot a course through the asteroid field. We'll have to navigate it." As the Curiosity lifted off from Zorax, leaving behind the bioluminescent forests and crystal formations, the crew felt a palpable tension in the air. The ship accelerated towards the asteroid field, its outline now visible through the forward view screen, a chaotic mass of tumbling rocks and ice, stretching as far as the eye could see. "Shields at maximum," Chen ordered. "Walker, take us in, nice and easy." The ship entered the field, immediately buffeted by the swirling debris. Walker's hands flew over the controls, guiding the Curiosity through the treacherous terrain. But despite his skill, the asteroid seemed to move in unpredictable ways, always one step ahead of his maneuvers. Suddenly, Dylan stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with an inner light. "Captain, I can help. Uma and we can sense the movements of the asteroids before they happen." Chen hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "Do it." Dylan placed his hands on the navigation console, Uma standing close behind him, her clawed hands resting lightly on his shoulders. As they connected both physically and mentally, a wave of sensory information washed over them. Through their shared perception, they could feel the subtle gravitational pulls, the minute shifts in trajectory that preceded each asteroid's movement. Dylan's fingers danced across the controls, guiding the ship with inhuman precision. The Curiosity weaved through the asteroid field, narrowly avoiding collisions that seemed inevitable moments before. The human crew watched in awe as their ship performed maneuvers they had never thought possible. As they penetrated deeper into the field, Dr. Stern's console began to beep insistently. "Captain," he called out, his voice filled with excitement and trepidation, "I'm picking up an anomalous signal. It's coming from there." He pointed to a massive asteroid that slowly rotated into view, but as they watched, the surface of the asteroid seemed to shimmer and fade, revealing a structure hidden beneath the rocky camouflage. "It's a space station," Chen breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. The station was an enormous construct of gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields, its architecture unlike anything human or Gorn. As the Curiosity drew closer, they could see that parts of the station were dark and lifeless, while others pulsed with an eerie internal light. "Captain," Dylan said, his voice distant as if he was listening to something only he could hear. "Uma and we feel drawn to this place. There's something there, something important." Chen studied the mysterious station, weighing the risks against the potential discoveries. The urgency of Earth's message pressed on her mind, but the possibility of uncovering something crucial to their mission could not be ignored. "All right," she decided. "We'll investigate. Dylan, Uma, you'll lead a small team onto the station. But be cautious. We don't know what we're dealing with here." As the Curiosity maneuvered closer to the ancient space station, Dylan and Uma prepared for their expedition into the unknown. The hybrid human Gorn and his Gorn mate stood before the airlock, their bodies humming with anticipation and a shared sense of destiny. The door hissed open, revealing the cavernous interior of the station. Dylan took Uma's hand, their fingers intertwining in a gesture that bridged their two species. Together, they stepped forward into the shadows of the alien construct, ready to uncover secrets that could change the fate of both their worlds. As they ventured deeper into the alien construct, the air grew thick with anticipation. Suddenly, the station's interior erupted with light. Panels along the walls flickered to life, displaying incomprehensible symbols and diagrams. Dylan's eyes widened as he processed the information flooding his enhanced senses. "Uma," he whispered, "I think I understand. This station, it's a weapon, a defensive system of immense power." Before Uma could respond, alarms blared throughout the structure. Captain Chen's voice crackled over the comm system. "Dylan! Uma! We've got incoming. Multiple vessels approaching at high speed. They don't match any known configurations." Dylan and Uma exchanged a knowing glance. Without hesitation, they moved towards what appeared to be the station's control center. As they approached, the system seemed to respond to their presence, interfaces materializing before them. "We need to activate the defenses," Dylan said, his hands hovering over the alien controls. "It's our only chance against whatever's coming." Uma nodded, her scales shimmering with nervous energy. Together, they began the activation sequence. As their hands danced across the controls, a surge of energy coursed through the station. The entire structure shuddered and began to transform. Outside, the crew of the Curiosity watched in awe as the station unfolded like a blooming flower. Massive weapon arrays emerged from hidden compartments, and a shimmering energy field enveloped both the station and the ship. Captain Chen's voice rang out on the bridge. "All hands, battle stations, we're about to have company." The approaching ships, now visible on the Curiosity's scanners, moved with an eerie purpose. Dr. Stern's voice trembled as he reported, "Captain, I've analyzed their energy signatures. They match nothing in our database, but their intent is clear. They're here to harvest resources, including us." "The Voidborn," Uma hissed, the name coming to her as if from an ancient memory. Inside the station, Dylan and Uma found themselves uniquely attuned to its systems. Their hybrid physiology allowed them to interface directly with the ancient technology, guiding its weapons with uncanny precision. The first volley from the station caught the Voidborn ships off guard. Beams of energy lanced out, cutting through their advanced shields like paper. Several ships erupted into silent explosions, their debris adding to the chaos of the asteroid field. But the Voidborn were numerous, and they quickly regrouped. They swarmed around the station, their weapons pounding against the energy shield. "Shields at 80% and dropping," Lieutenant Walker reported from the Curiosity. Captain Chen gripped her chair, her fist clenched. "Morrison, get us moving. We need to draw some of their fire." The Curiosity weaved through the asteroid field, its movements enhanced by the instincts of the Gorn ambassadors on board. The ship danced between massive rocks and enemy fire, providing a moving target to distract the Voidborn. Back on the station, Dylan and Uma worked in perfect synchronization. Their minds merged through their psychic bond, allowing them to anticipate each other's actions and the movements of their enemies. Suddenly, alarms blared. A group of Voidborn had managed to breach the station's outer defenses. Dylan and Uma found themselves faced with a direct physical threat. The first Voidborn rounded the corner, its form a nightmarish blend of organic and mechanical parts. Dylan reacted instinctively, his newly enhanced strength allowing him to grapple with the creature. Uma flanked it, her natural Gorn combat instincts kicking in as she struck with lethal precision. Together, they fought their way through the invaders, their complementary abilities making them an unstoppable team. Dylan's human ingenuity combined with his Gorn strength allowed him to outmaneuver the Voidborn, while Uma's attacks found weak points in their bizarre anatomy. As they fought, Dr. Stern's voice came over the comm, excitement breaking through his usual calm. "Dylan, Uma, I've made a breakthrough. The station has the capability to generate a massive energy pulse. It could disable the entire Voidborn fleet in one shot." Dylan ducked under a Voidborn swipe, his mind racing. "What's the catch, Doc?" Stern's voice grew somber. The pulse requires a living conduit to channel the energy. The amount of power involved, it would likely be fatal. Uma's eyes met Dylan's, a silent understanding passing between them. Their hybrid nature might allow them to survive what would kill others. Without a word, they made their decision. "We'll do it," Dylan said, his voice firm. "Guide us to the core." As they made their way to the station's heart, Captain Chen's voice came through, strained but determined. "We'll cover you. Good luck, you two. The fate of both our peoples rests in your hands." The core chamber pulsed with raw energy as Dylan and Uma entered. They positioned themselves on opposite sides of a central pillar, preparing for what was to come. As the energy began to flow through them, their bodies started to glow. The power pushed their hybrid physiologies to the limit, threatening to tear them apart at a molecular level. But they held on, their minds merging more completely than ever before. Outside, the battle reached its climax. The Curiosity, battered but unbroken, used itself as a shield, protecting the station's most vulnerable points from the Voidborn's relentless assault. In the core, Dylan and Uma's individual selves began to blur. Their memories, their experiences, their very essence blended together. As they reached the peak of the energy transfer, their physical forms started to destabilize, the sheer power threatening to unmake them. With a final, desperate push, they released the accumulated energy. A blinding pulse erupted from the station, expanding rapidly through space. The Voidborn ships caught in its path immediately powered down, left drifting and defenseless. As the pulse faded, silence fell over the battlefield. In the station's core, the chamber grew dark, the fate of Dylan and Uma uncertain. On the Curiosity, Captain Chen rose from her chair, her face a mask of commitment. "Prepare a boarding party. We're going in." As they made their way through the battle-damaged corridors of the station, the weight of the moment pressed down on them. What they would find behind those final doors could determine the future of both human and Gorn civilizations. Chen placed her hand on the core chamber's entrance, took a deep breath, and pushed it open. Open. The scene that greeted them was both awe-inspiring and heart-wrenching. Dylan and Uma lay motionless on the floor, their bodies still faintly luminescent with residual energy. The air crackled with an otherworldly static, remnants of the massive energy pulse that had disabled the Voidborn fleet. "Medical team, move in!" Chen barked, her voice tight with urgency. As the medical staff rushed forward, Chen's eyes swept the chamber, taking in the alien technology that surrounded them. The core pulsed with a dim, rhythmic light, like the beating heart of some great cosmic entity. Dr. Stern knelt beside Dylan and Uma, his hands moving swiftly as he assessed their condition. "They're alive, but barely," he reported, his voice strained. "We need to get them back to the Curiosity immediately." Within minutes, the unconscious couple was secured on stretchers and being rushed through the station's corridors. Chen followed close behind, her mind racing with the implications of what had transpired. Back on the Curiosity, the medical bay became a hive of activity. Human and Gorn medical staff worked in tandem, their differences set aside in the face of this unprecedented medical challenge. Dr. Stern, his brow furrowed in concentration, coordinated the efforts. "Their hybrid physiology is reacting in ways I've never seen before," he muttered, eyes fixed on the biomonitors. "It's as if their cellular structure is in flux." As the medical team fought to stabilize Dylan and Uma, Chen turned her attention to the aftermath of the battle. The bridge of the Curiosity was a flurry of activity, crew members working tirelessly to assess the situation. "Status report," Chen demanded as she strode onto the bridge. Lieutenant Walker's fingers flew over his console. "The Voidborn ships are completely powered down, Captain. They're just drifting out there." Chen's eyes narrowed as she studied the view screen, taking in the ghostly sight of the immobilized enemy fleet. "Prepare a salvage team," she ordered. "I want to know everything we can about these Voidborn. Lieutenant Morrison, you'll lead the operation." Morrison nodded sharply. "Aye, Captain. We'll gather all the intelligence we can." As the salvage team prepared for their mission, Chen's attention was drawn back to the medical bay. Dr. Stern's voice crackled over the comm system. "Captain, you need to see this." Chen rushed back to the medical bay, her heart pounding. As she entered, she saw Dylan and Uma stirring on their beds, their eyes fluttering open. "They're regaining consciousness," Dr. Stern explained, his voice filled with wonder. "But that's not all. Look at this." He gestured to a nearby monitor, which displayed a complex graph of neural activity. "Their brainwave patterns are perfectly synchronized. It's as if their minds are operating as one." Dylan's voice, weak but clear, cut through the air. "Captain, we can feel it. The station, the ship, everything." Uma continued, her words seamlessly following Dylan's. "We're connected in ways we never imagined possible." Chen leaned in, her voice hushed. "What do you mean?" "The energy pulse," Dylan explained, his eyes unfocused as if seeing something beyond the room. "It changed us. We can interface with technology, access information." "The station," Uma added, her clawed hand reaching out to grasp Dylan's. "It's not just a weapon. It's so much more." Before Chen could press for more information, the ship's comm system crackled to life. Lieutenant Morrison's voice filled the room, tinged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Captain, we've made contact with a void-born survivor. We're bringing it aboard for questioning." Chen straightened, her mind racing with the potential implications. "Understood, Lieutenant. Bring it to the secure holding area. I'll be there shortly." As she turned to leave, Chen cast one last glance at Dylan and Uma. Their eyes were closed again, but their hands remained intertwined, a subtle glow pulsing beneath their skin. "Keep me updated on their condition," she instructed Dr. Stern. "And be prepared for anything. We're in uncharted territory now." With that, Chen strode out of the medical bay, her steps purposeful. As she made her way to the holding area, she couldn't shake the feeling that they stood on the precipice of something monumental. The disabled void-born fleet, the ancient space station, and the transformed Dylan and Uma, each piece of the puzzle held the potential to reshape the future of both human and Gorn civilizations. The secure holding area loomed before her, the door sliding open with a soft hiss. Inside, surrounded by a containment field, lay the injured voidborn. Its form was a disquieting blend of organic and mechanical components, unlike anything Chen had ever encountered. Dr. Stern stood nearby, a translator device in his hand. "Captain," he greeted her, his voice low, "we've managed to establish basic communication. The voidborn calls itself Zera." Chen nodded, steeling herself. "Let's see what we can learn," she said, stepping closer to the containment field. "We need answers, and we need them now." Now! As Chen faced the injured voidborn, a flurry of activity erupted behind her. Dr. Stern rushed into the room, his eyes wide with excitement. "Captain, you need to see this," he said breathlessly. "Dylan and Uma, they're doing something extraordinary." Chen hesitated, torn between the need for answers from the voidborn and the urgency in Stern's voice. "What's happening, Doctor?" "They're interfacing with the ship's systems in ways we've never seen before. It's as if they're evolving." With a quick glance at the contained voidborn, Chen made her decision. "Keep it secure. I'll be back." She ordered the security team before following Stern to the medical bay. The scene that greeted them was nothing short of miraculous. Dylan and Uma sat upright on their beds, their eyes closed but their faces alive with concentration. Holographic displays danced around them, responding to their unspoken commands. "They're accessing the station's systems," Stern explained, his voice hushed with awe. "And not just that, they're decoding vast amounts of data stored within its memory banks." Chen watched as information scrolled across the screens faster than any human eye could follow. "What kind of information?" "Everything," Uma answered, her eyes still closed. "The station's history, its capabilities, its true purpose." Dylan continued seamlessly. "It's not just a weapon, Captain. It's a terraforming device of immense power." Chen's mind raced with the implications. "Terraforming? You mean it could protect Earth from the approaching radiation wave?" Dylan finished. "Yes, but we need to act quickly." Without hesitation, Chen activated her comm link. "Bridge, set a course for Earth. Maximum speed." As the Curiosity hummed to life, preparing for its journey home, Chen turned back to Dylan and Uma. "What do you need from us?" "Time," Uma replied, her voice strained with effort. We need to fully understand the station's capabilities, and we'll need to transform it for our journey. Chen nodded, her decision made. You'll have it. I'll inform Admiral Blackwood of our plan. As she made her way to the bridge, Chen could feel the ship thrumming with renewed energy. The crew moved with purpose, their earlier fear replaced by persistence. On the main view screen, the disabled Voidborn fleet drifted silently. Chen input her command codes, opening a secure channel to Earth. Admiral Blackwood's face appeared, his expression a mix of relief and concern. Captain Chen, report. Admiral, we've made contact with an ancient alien station, Chen began, her voice steady. It possesses technology that could save Earth from the radiation wave. She watched as Blackwood's expression shifted from skepticism to guarded hope. Explain. Chen laid out their plan, emphasizing the potential of the station's terraforming capabilities. As she spoke, she could see the Admiral's resistance slowly crumbling. This is highly unorthodox, Captain, Blackwood said finally. The risks are necessary, Chen interrupted. With respect, sir, this may be our only chance to save Earth. After a long moment, Blackwood nodded. Proceed, Captain, but be warned, Earth's defenses are on high alert. You'll need to approach with extreme caution. As the communication ended, Chen turned to her crew. Lieutenant Morrison, begin integrating the salvaged Voidborn technology into our systems. We need every advantage we can get. Morrison nodded, his hands already flying over his console. Aye, Captain. We'll have enhanced speed and defensive capabilities within the hour. Good. Lieutenant Walker, coordinate with the Gorn ambassadors. See if they can assist in fortifying our hull. As her orders were carried out, Chen returned to the medical bay. Dylan and Uma were now standing, their bodies glowing faintly as they worked in perfect synchronization. The station is responding to our commands, Dylan reported. We're initiating its transformation sequence. Through the viewports, Chen watched in awe as the massive structure began to shift and reconfigure. Its bulky form streamlined, becoming more aerodynamic and suitable for their impending journey. How long until we're ready to depart? Chen asked. Uma's eyes opened, meeting the captain's gaze. 2 hours, but Captain, there's something else you should know. Before she could elaborate, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Walker's voice came over the comm system, urgent and tense. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting a second wave of Voidborn ships. They're approaching fast. Chen's mind raced, weighing their options. They couldn't stay and fight, not with Earth's survival hanging in the balance. How long do we have? At their current speed, less than 3 hours before they're in weapons range. Chen turned back to Dylan and Uma, her decision made. Can you accelerate the station's transformation? The hybrid couple shared a look, their unspoken communication evident. Yes, Dylan answered, but it'll be risky. We'll be pushing the systems to their limits. Do it, Chen ordered. We leave as soon as the station is ready. Every second counts. As Dylan and Uma resumed their work, Chen strode back to the bridge. The view screen showed the approaching Voidborn fleet, a swarm of deadly ships cutting through the darkness of space. Status report, Chen demanded as she took her seat. Morrison looked up from his station. Hull fortifications are at 80%, thanks to the Gorn crystal technology. Voidborn-derived systems are online and functioning at peak efficiency. Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the looming threat. Prepare for immediate departure. The moment that station is ready, we move. The minutes ticked by with agonizing slowness. Chen could feel the tension on the bridge, the crew's anxiety palpable as they watched the enemy draw closer. Finally, Dylan's voice came over the comm. Captain, we're ready. Chen didn't hesitate. All hands, brace for acceleration. Lieutenant Morrison, take us out. Maximum speed. The Curiosity surged forward, leading the transformed station away from the asteroid field. Behind them, the second wave of Voidborn ships began to close the gap. They're in pursuit, Captain, Walker reported. Closing fast. Chen's mind raced, considering their options. They couldn't outrun the Voidborn forever, and a prolonged battle would only delay their mission to save Earth. Suddenly, an idea struck her. Morrison, activate the Voidborn cloaking technology. Extend the field to cover both us and the station. Morrison's hands flew over his console, and Chen held her breath as the cloaking field shimmered into existence. On the monitor, she watched as the pursuing voidborn ship slowed, their sensors confused by the sudden disappearance of their prey. "It worked," Walker breathed, relief evident in his voice. "They're breaking off pursuit." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Excellent work, everyone. Now let's make the most of this advantage. Set course for Earth, maximum sustainable speed." As the Curiosity and the alien station accelerated towards their home, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that their greatest challenges still lay ahead. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, now rested in their hands. The weight of their mission pressed heavily upon her as the Curiosity hurtled through space, the transformed alien station in tow. As they entered the solar system, the ship's sensors lit up with incoming signals. Lieutenant Walker's voice cut through the tense silence on the bridge. "Captain, Earth's defense systems have detected us. They're treating us as a potential threat." Chen nodded, having anticipated this reaction. "Open a channel to United Space Command. We need to talk to Admiral Blackwood immediately." The view screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Admiral Blackwood. His eyes narrowed as he took in the sight of the Curiosity's bridge. "Captain Chen, explain yourself. Our systems are registering an unknown object of immense size accompanying your ship. What in blazes is going on?" Chen took a deep breath, her voice steady as she began to explain. "Admiral, the object with us is an ancient space station, capable of saving Earth from the approaching radiation wave. We've confirmed its terraforming abilities, and it's our best hope for survival." Blackwood's expression remained skeptical. "And you expect us to believe this based on what evidence?" "Sir, if I may," Dr. Stern interjected, stepping into view. He quickly outlined the data they had collected, including the information gleaned from the void-born prisoner, Zira. As they spoke, Chen glanced at another screen showing Dylan and Uma's progress. The hybrid couple was guiding the massive station into a stable orbit around Earth, their movements precise and controlled. "Admiral," Chen continued, "we have two individuals aboard the station who are crucial to its operation. Dylan and Uma have undergone a transformation that allows them to interface directly with the station's systems." Blackwood's eyebrows rose. "Transformation? Chen, what exactly happened out there?" Before Chen could respond, Uma's voice came through the comm system. "Captain, we've successfully established orbit, but we've discovered something else. The station has an energy shield capable of enveloping the entire planet." This new information seemed to give Blackwood pause. After a moment of silence, he spoke again. "Captain, dock with the ISS. I'm convening an emergency meeting of world leaders. We need to discuss this face-to-face." As the communication ended, Chen turned to her crew. "Morrison, set a course for the ISS. Zorax, prepare the Gorn delegation. We're going to have to make our case in person." The Curiosity approached the International Space Station, the Earth looming large in the viewport. Chen couldn't help but notice the strange, shimmering lights dancing across the planet's atmosphere, the first visible signs of the approaching radiation wave. As they prepared to board the ISS, Chen received another update from Dylan and Uma. "Captain," Dylan's voice crackled through the comm, "we've found something in the station's database. It contains information about similar radiation events from millions of years ago. This station was built by a coalition of species, including ancestors of both humans and Gorn, to combat these waves." Chen's mind raced with the implications of this revelation. "Understood. Keep digging and stay in constant communication with Lieutenant Morrison." With a final glance at the ancient station hovering in orbit, Chen led her team onto the ISS. The tension was palpable as they entered the conference room, faced with a wall of screens showing the grim faces of world leaders. Admiral Blackwood began the meeting, his voice grave. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face an unprecedented situation. Captain Chen and her team have returned with an alien station they claim can save us from an impending cosmic threat. Captain, please present your case." Chen stepped forward, her voice clear and determined. She outlined their journey, the encounter with the Voidborn, and the discovery of the station. As she spoke, Dr. Stern displayed data supporting their claims, including readings of the intensifying radiation wave. The world leaders listened with a mix of skepticism and growing concern. Questions flew rapid fire. How could they trust this alien technology? What were the risks? What if this was all an elaborate trap? As the debate raged, Chen's comm unit buzzed. It was Morrison. Captain, Dylan and Uma have begun activating the station's terraforming capabilities. They're sending out energy pulses to strengthen Earth's magnetic field. Chen relayed this information to the assembled leaders. As if on cue, gasps of awe filled the room as they watched the auroras outside the ISS windows intensify and spread, painting the sky in brilliant hues. The leader of India leaned forward, her eyes wide. "What are we seeing?" "That," Chen explained, "is the station reinforcing Earth's natural defenses against cosmic radiation." The mood in the room shifted. Fear gave way to cautious hope as the leaders began to grasp the potential of the alien technology. However, Chen's relief was short-lived. Another message from Morrison came through. "Captain, Dylan and Uma are under immense strain. The energy required to protect the planet is pushing their hybrid physiology to its limits." As Chen processed this information, alarms blared throughout the ISS. A technician's panicked voice filled the room. "The radiation wave, it's accelerating. First contact with the outer solar system in less than an hour." The world leaders erupted into frantic discussion. Chen raised her voice above the chaos. "We're out of time. We need to make a decision now. Do we activate the station's full capabilities or not?" Admiral Blackwood stood, silencing the room with a raised hand. "We have no choice. Captain Chen, you have our authorization. Do whatever it takes to protect Earth." Chen nodded, quickly relaying the order to Morrison. On the screens around the room, they watched as a shimmering barrier of light began to expand from the alien station, slowly enveloping the Earth. As the energy shield grew, the first intense waves of cosmic radiation slammed into the outer planets. Chen watched, her heart racing, as the ultimate test of their efforts to save humanity began. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, with Dylan and Uma at the center of it all, their bodies and minds pushed to their absolute limits as they fought to maintain the shield. The question on everyone's mind remained unspoken. Would it be enough? Enough to withstand the onslaught. Chen's eyes remained fixed on the screens, watching as the shield expanded to encompass the Earth. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ISS. "Captain!" Morrison's voice crackled through the comm. "We're detecting fluctuations in the shield's integrity. There are gaps forming." Chen's heart raced as she processed this new development. She turned to the assembled world leaders, their faces etched with concern. "We need to stabilize the shield immediately. I'm heading back to the Curiosity to coordinate with Dylan and Uma." As Chen and her team rushed back to their ship, Dr. Stern's voice cut through the chaos. "Captain, I've analyzed the incoming data. The radiation wave isn't uniform. There are pockets of concentrated energy that could breach even a fully formed shield." Chen's mind raced, considering their options. As they boarded the Curiosity, she received an urgent message from Dylan and Uma. Their voices, now tinged with an otherworldly resonance, spoke in unison. "Captain, we've made a decision," Dylan began, his voice strained. Uma continued. "To maintain and strengthen the shield, we must fully merge with the station's core systems." Chen's breath caught in her throat. "What does that mean for you?" "It means we'll be permanently altered," Dylan explained. "Our hybrid physiology will become one with the station. It's the only way to generate enough power to protect Earth." Chen closed her eyes, the weight of their sacrifice settling on her shoulders. "Are you certain about this?" "We are," Uma replied, tenacity evident in her voice. "We're prepared to do whatever it takes." As Chen grappled with this development, another crisis unfolded on Earth. Reports flooded in of widespread satellite malfunctions and compass failures. Migratory birds flew in erratic patterns, disoriented by the fluctuations in the planet's magnetic field. Panic spread among the populace as communication systems faltered. Amidst the growing chaos, an unexpected opportunity presented itself. Zara, the captive Voidborn, requested an audience with Chen and Admiral Blackwood. Her silver eyes gleamed as she spoke. "My people have encountered these radiation waves before," Zara revealed. "We possess technology that allows us to navigate through them safely. I propose a trade. This technology in exchange for asylum for myself and the remaining voidborn ships. Admiral Blackwood's face appeared on the display, his expression guarded. Captain Chen, what's your assessment? Chen studied Zira's face, weighing the potential risks and benefits. Sir, I believe it's worth pursuing. We'll need every advantage we can get. Blackwood nodded. Proceed with caution, Captain. Any shared technology must be thoroughly examined before implementation. As negotiations with Zira began, Dylan and Uma initiated their merger with the station's core. Chen watched via video feed as their bodies underwent a startling transformation. Their skin took on a metallic sheen, and tendrils of circuitry spread across their limbs. They cried out in pain as their nervous systems interfaced directly with the station's systems. Status report, Chen demanded, her voice tight with concern. Dr. Stern's fingers flew over his console. Their vital signs are stable, but they're experiencing extreme neural stress. The merger is proceeding faster than anticipated. As Dylan and Uma became one with the station, they gained unprecedented control over its functions. Suddenly, Uma's voice echoed through the comm system, filled with wonder and excitement. Captain, we've discovered something incredible. The station can generate localized wormholes. Chen's mind raced with the possibilities. Can we use this to our advantage against the radiation wave? Potentially, Dylan replied. We might be able to redirect the most dangerous portions of the wave away from Earth. Chen quickly formulated a plan, her tactical mind working overtime. All right, listen carefully. We're going to use the station's wormhole technology in conjunction with the shield. Dylan, Uma, I need you to generate a series of small wormholes at these coordinates. As Chen relayed the strategic points, the Curiosity's sensors detected the radiation wave entering the solar system. The outer planets lit up with intense auroras, their atmospheres crackling with electromagnetic energy. Initiating wormhole generation now, Dylan and Uma announced in unison, their voices now seamlessly blended. Chen watched in awe as small tears in space-time appeared at the designated coordinates. The wormholes pulsed with energy, ready to intercept the most concentrated portions of the incoming wave. All Earth defense systems, prepare for impact, Chen ordered. Zira, we need that void-born technology online now. As the full force of the radiation wave slammed into their defenses, Earth held its collective breath. The shield flickered ominously, straining under the onslaught. Dylan and Uma's merged consciousness fought to maintain control, their shared pain evident in their labored breathing. The wormholes activated, swallowing the deadliest energy concentrations and spitting them out far from Earth's solar system. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed as though their efforts might not be enough. The shield wavered, gaps widening dangerously. Then miraculously, the void-born technology kicked in. It meshed seamlessly with Earth's defense systems, stabilizing the shield and more efficiently processing the incoming radiation. The combined power of human ingenuity, Gorn instincts, ancient alien technology, and void-born knowledge created a multi-layered defense that stood strong against the cosmic assault. As the peak of the radiation wave passed, Dylan and Uma's connection deepened even further. Their consciousness expanded, accessing not just the station's current functions, but its entire history. Millennia of accumulated knowledge from the long-lost civilization that created the station flooded their shared mind. Chen watched the readings from the station with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The power that Dylan and Uma now wielded was beyond anything they had ever imagined. As Earth emerged from the worst of the radiation wave, battered but largely intact, Chen couldn't help but wonder about the long-term consequences of these momentous events. The immediate danger had passed, but the challenges they faced were a long way to go. Dylan and Uma, forever changed by their merger with the station, now grappled with their new existence and the immense responsibility that came with their newfound power. Earth's leaders, including Chen herself, faced the daunting task of navigating the aftermath of this cosmic event. As Chen stared out at the shimmering shield surrounding Earth, she knew that their journey was only beginning. The promises of new technologies and alliances were balanced precariously against the potential dangers they represented. Humanity stood on the brink of a new era, one filled with both incredible opportunities and unforeseen perils. The Curiosity's comm system crackled to life, Admiral Blackwood's voice filling the bridge. "Captain Chen, we need you back at the ISS immediately. There's much to discuss about our next steps." Chen took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenges ahead. As she gave the order to return to the space station, she cast one last glance at the alien structure that had saved them all, wondering what secrets and surprises it still held in store. Store for humanity and its newfound allies. As the immediate crisis subsided, the focus shifted to understanding and harnessing the incredible power now at their fingertips. Dylan and Uma, their consciousnesses fully merged with the ancient space station, began to explore the vast repository of knowledge contained within its systems. Chen watched in awe as holographic displays flickered to life around her, showing streams of data and complex schematics. Dylan and Uma's voices, now a harmonious blend, filled the room. "Captain, we've discovered something extraordinary," they said in unison. "The station contains plans for a network of similar structures throughout the galaxy." Chen's eyes widened. "A network? For what purpose?" "Protection and nurturing of developing civilizations," Dylan explained. "It seems the station's creators had a grand vision for fostering life across the stars." Uma continued, "We believe we can use this technology to create a permanent defensive network around Earth and potentially other habitable worlds." Chen nodded, her mind racing with the implications. "We need to bring this to the world leaders immediately." Over the next few days, Chen found herself in a whirlwind of meetings and debates. The ISS became a hub of frantic activity as leaders from around the world gathered to discuss the potential of the alien technology. During one particularly heated session, the Chinese premier leaned forward, his face etched with concern. "How can we be certain this technology won't be used against us?" Before Chen could respond, a shimmering hologram of Dylan and Uma appeared in the center of the room. "We understand your concerns," they said, "but we've seen the intentions of the station's creators. Their goal was to protect and nurture, never to harm." As the debates raged on, Dr. Stern and Zira made a breakthrough in integrating void-borne technology with Earth's defense systems. Chen observed their work from the Curiosity's bridge, watching as they fine-tuned the planet's atmospheric shields. "The radiation wave caused significant disruption to Earth's magnetic field," Dr. Stern explained, his fingers dancing across a complex interface. "But with Zira's help, we've managed to stabilize it." Zira nodded, her silver eyes gleaming. "Your planet's atmosphere should now be better protected against future cosmic events." As Earth's defenses were bolstered, Dylan and Uma made another startling discovery. Their merged consciousness, sifting through the station's vast database, uncovered information about an ancient Gorn colony ship. "Captain," they called out, their holographic form appearing on the Curiosity's bridge. "We've found records of a Gorn ship launched millennia ago, long before the current civilization on Zorax." Chen frowned. "What's so special about this ship?" "It carried a diverse genetic library of Gorn DNA," Uma explained. "It could be the key to solving the Gorn's genetic bottleneck." Excitement rippled through the crew as Dylan and Uma used the station's advanced sensors to scan nearby star systems. After hours of searching, they detected a faint signal matching the ship's description. "We found it," Dylan announced, his voice filled with awe. "It's in a distant solar system, just at the edge of our scanning range." Chen's mind raced with the possibilities. She turned to her communications officer. "Get me Admiral Blackwood. We need to plan a mission." Within hours, Chen found herself outlining a bold proposal to Blackwood and a panel of Earth and Gorn leaders. A joint human-Gorn expedition to investigate the signal and recover the lost genetic material, she explained. "It's an opportunity to test our alliance and potentially save the Gorn species." Blackwood nodded thoughtfully. "It's risky, but the potential benefits are enormous. Captain Chen, I'm assigning you to lead this mission. The Curiosity will serve as your flagship." As preparations for the expedition began, Chen faced an unexpected challenge. Dylan and Uma, now integral to Earth's defenses, couldn't physically leave the station. After much deliberation, they proposed a solution. "We can create a localized projection of our consciousness," they explained. "An avatar that can accompany the mission while our primary awareness remains here." Chen watched in amazement as a shimmering, translucent figure materialized before her, a perfect blend of Dylan and Uma's features. The avatar smiled, its voice a familiar harmony. "Ready for duty, Captain." As the expedition team assembled, a new face joined their ranks. Dr. Lyra Novak, a young xenoanthropologist with piercing green eyes and a shock of red hair, stepped aboard the Curiosity. "Dr. Novak," Chen greeted her, "your expertise will be invaluable if we encounter the lost Gorn colony." Novak nodded eagerly. "I'm honored to be part of this mission, Captain. The potential cultural implications are staggering." As the final preparations were made, Dylan and Uma's avatar provided a last-minute briefing. "The colony ship was part of a bold experiment in Gorn evolution," they revealed. "It carried genetic modifications that could unlock new abilities in the Gorn species." The implications of this information sent a ripple of excitement through the crew. Chen looked around at her team, a mix of humans, Gorn, and the avatar of Dylan and Uma. Each face reflected purpose and anticipation for the journey ahead. As the Curiosity led the fleet out of Earth's orbit, Chen felt a familiar thrill of adventure. The ship's new hybrid propulsion system hummed to life, pushing them to speeds she had once thought impossible. "All systems ready, Captain," her helmsman reported. Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the stars ahead. "Take us out, Lieutenant. Let's go find that colony ship." As Earth shrank behind them, the fleet accelerated into the unknown, carrying with it the hopes of multiple species and the potential to reshape the future of galactic civilization. As the Curiosity led the fleet deeper into uncharted space, Captain Chen couldn't shake the feeling that this mission would be unlike any other. The ship's new hybrid propulsion system hummed with a power she was still getting accustomed to, pushing them towards their destination at speeds that would have been unimaginable just months ago. Uma's sudden gasp broke the contemplative silence on the bridge. Chen turned to see the Gorn scientist doubled over, her scales flushing a deep shade of purple. "Uma, what's wrong?" Chen asked, moving quickly to her side. Uma's eyes were wide, her breath coming in short pants. I don't know. Something's happening to me." Dr. Stern rushed over, scanner in hand, his brow furrowed as he examined the readings. "Captain, I think we have a situation. Uma's biology is reacting in a way I've never seen before." Before Chen could respond, Dylan and Uma's avatar flickered into existence beside them. The usually stable hologram wavered, its form distorting in sync with Uma's labored breathing. "It's affecting us both," Dylan's voice came through, tinged with a mix of confusion and something Chen couldn't quite identify. "Our connection, it's intensifying." Dr. Novak approached, her green eyes sharp with interest. "Captain, if I may, I believe Uma might be entering an intense mating cycle. Her pheromones are already affecting the crew, both human and Gorn." Chen looked around the bridge, noticing the subtle shifts in her crew's behavior. Some seemed agitated, others unusually focused on Uma. She made a quick decision. "Dr. Stern, Dr. Novak, my ready room now. Dylan, Uma, can your avatar join us?" Once inside, Chen turned to her experts. "Explain. What's happening and how does it affect our mission?" Dr. Novak spoke first, her words tumbling out in excitement. "Captain, I believe Uma's condition is triggered by our proximity to the lost Gorn colony ship's signal. It's as if her body is responding to the potential for genetic diversity. It's fascinating from an evolutionary standpoint." "Doctor," Chen interrupted, "focus on the immediate issue." Dr. Stern picked up the thread. "The problem, Captain, is that Uma's pheromones are potent enough to affect the entire crew. If left unchecked, it could lead to complications." Dylan and Uma's avatar shimmered, their merged voice strained. "We can feel it, Captain. The urges, they're overwhelming. Our connection to the station is becoming unstable." Chen rubbed her temples, feeling a headache coming on. "Suggestions?" Dr. Novak leaned forward, her eyes bright. "There might be a way to stabilize their condition and potentially unlock new aspects of their hybrid physiology. We could create a controlled environment for Dylan and Uma to complete a modified version of the Gorn mating ritual." Chen raised an eyebrow. "On my ship?" "Using the Curiosity's advanced technology, we could moderate the process," Dr. Stern added. It's our best chance to stabilize them before we reach our destination. Chen looked at Dylan and Uma's avatar, seeing the struggle written across their flickering features. She made her decision. Make it happen. We need them stable for what's ahead. As the scientists rushed to prepare, Chen returned to the bridge. The main view screen showed a vast debris field looming ahead, the remains of an ancient battle. At its center, a planet gleamed, its surface scarred but still holding life. Scan the planet, Chen ordered. Look for any signs of the colony. As the crew worked, Chen's mind raced. They had come seeking a lost ship and genetic diversity for the Gorn. Instead, they found themselves dealing with unexpected biological urges and the remnants of an unknown conflict. Whatever awaited them on the planet's surface, Chen knew their mission had just become far more complex than anyone had anticipated. The Curiosity began its descent through the planet's atmosphere, the debris field creating a treacherous path. Chen gripped her command chair, her eyes fixed on the rapidly approaching surface. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew her crew would face them head-on. As they broke through the cloud cover, the true scale of the ancient battle became clear. The planet's surface was a patchwork of impact craters and overgrown ruins, and there, nestled in a valley between two massive mountain ranges, they saw it, the entrance to a hidden underground city. Chen felt a mix of anticipation and trepidation as the Curiosity touched down. Their search for the lost Gorn colony was over, but she suspected their real journey was just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.